Have you heard of a term called neuroplasticity? Or it's also called brain plasticity. Literally, brothers and sisters, the brain that you and I have control over changing it in the way we want. It's not an easy task, but we can. And you can teach your children that they are able to change their brains. Just give them the example of Legos. You can build the Legos, dismantle the Legos, rebuild them in a different way, change parts of it here, like Legos, like blocks of Legos. Our brain is. Right inside, there are little tiny channels. All right? Neurons connect to other neurons. Allahu Alam, 30 billion, 300 billion, I don't know, many billions of neurons. They connect and they make highways and roads. And they grow. Like these little roots, they grow. And they make new bridges and connections. When you develop habits, these channels grow. Develop other habits, these channels grow. You stop certain habits, the channels get less, other channels grow. Your brain gets rewired every time. It's a beautiful study. And Allah, He tells us that in the Quran. He tells us that we are responsible for what our brains decide. But the ones we're responsible for is the one right at the front of our brain, not the rest of our brain. Does anyone know at what age the child's brain is almost fully complete, close to adulthood? At what age do you think it's almost fully complete? Modern studies tell us about 6, could be 7, around that age. It's true. That means the way the child grew up with their parents and their environment and their experiences, there are those channels in the brain have already been set at 6 or 7 years old. After that, the brain starts developing in a different way. And when you reach puberty, guess what starts to develop in your brain? The front part of your brain, prefrontal cortex. That keeps growing until about 25 years old. That's the place responsible for judgment, decision-making, fears, and so on and so forth. Rationale, all that, making decisions through it. Allah says in the Quran, كَلَّا لَإِن لَمْ يَنْتَهِ لَنَسْفَعًا بِالنَّاصِيَةِ نَاصِيَةٍ كَاذِبَةٍ خَاطِئَةٍ. Nay, if he does not desist from his oppressive and wrong actions, he's talking about Abu Jahl, but in general to all of us, the human who oppresses and does wrong, we shall take him by his forelock on the day of judgment, a lying, sinful forelock. Forelock here is the frontal cortex, responsible for decisions. Allah called it lying and sinful because we have control over that. Now what affects that? Our brain development. Now when you understand this, brothers and sisters, you have a bit more empathy on yourself. You say to yourself, subhanallah, my upbringing was a little bit like this and like that. Can I change it? Yes, inshallah you can. Ibn al-Qayyim, rahmatullah alayhi, writes in his book, he mentions how habits develop, good and bad habits. So he uses the example of sins. He says, every bad habit, every sinful habit begins with a thought. A what? A thought. Whisper, comes and goes. If you catch that thought and hold on to it, it turns into an idea. If you hold on to the idea and don't repel it, it turns into a plan. If you hold on to the plan and you don't repel it, it turns into an action. If you repeat the action, the less you feel sensitive towards it and the more normalized it becomes, then it turns into a habit. And what do habits turn into if you don't deal with them? Addictions. Now, the reversal is the same way. Come up with a thought to counter it, then get an idea, plan it, do an action, get into the opposite habit again and again, and inshallah it'll go away. Example, a young person reaches puberty and the hormones begin to ignite, sexual hormones. A friend at school says there are websites you can look at to satisfy your desire. He goes and thinks, my parents watch me everywhere, they've got this, then he goes, how am I going to do it? I've got a thought I want to look. How am I going to do it? I'll get an idea. The idea is, use some kind of software or some way, ask my friends. Then a plan, I'll choose the right time, this is where I'm going to look. Then the action happens. They didn't get caught. So they remember the pleasure. Next time, again, and again, and again, and again, then it becomes a habit. Then it becomes an addiction. How to reverse that? Number one, you need willpower. You need to make that decision. Make wudu, pray 2 rak'ahs, and say, oh Allah, I have made the decision to work on myself, assist me and help me with your support. So you've got to make the decision. Then move forward. think. You got the thought, what's the idea? Reverse it. Well, when does it normally happen? It happens at night at this time. Through what? Through my device. Okay. Get rid of my VPN, whatever it is that I'm using. Put an app that stops these websites from coming up, and put your phone outside in the lounge when you go to sleep, and sleep. The first time it's very hard, but as you go forward, inshallah, sometimes you need support, sometimes you need to talk to a friend or somebody, and you can reverse it. It's not easy, but you can. And the rewiring in your brain changes, and that's how you find the willpower afterwards. One brother, he said to me, brother, I want to pray at the masjid every fajr. I said, it's a big task. He said, how can I do it? I said, start with the thought, then get an idea, then plan it, then do it. He said, my thought is to pray in the masjid every fajr. What's the idea? He said, I'm going to sleep a little bit early because my problem is that if I don't sleep early, I can't wake up. Next, I'm not going to drink coffee. I'm not going to eat late. My last meal will be 8 p.m., for example. Whatever he did, he knew himself. He planned for it. Then he woke up. First time was hard. Second time was that. Now, I played with his brain as well. Studying neuroplasticity, you've got to help him a bit. So I said to him, I just gave him a number. I just gave him any number. I said, it'll take you 40 days. Maybe it's right, maybe it's wrong. I just said 40 days. The brother, after 40 days, went to give a talk in Sydney. And when I say after 40 days, meaning like 2 months later or 3 months later, I went there, but it was, then he comes up and he says, brother, wallahi, it worked. Wallahi, at 40 days, I couldn't turn back anymore. Till now, I'm doing it. I said, maybe I should have said to him 20 days, maybe something like that. But the point is, brothers and sisters, he reversed it. And it became a habit. It became easy. But you can't expect everything to happen straight away. It happens slowly, inshallah. Neuroplasticity, your body all reacts to it, everything. Childhood traumas start with the parents and the way they talk to their children. Especially children who have something called ADHD. It's a problem with attention disorder. And what happens is that we don't understand that, we don't read a lot, we tend to make it worse. This child truly is born with a slight delay. At their same age, they're just not as attentive as others their age. No child experiences the same upbringing as their sibling. A brother who is the oldest does not have the same experience as the brother who is second, or the youngest, or the middle child, or the girl. It's like each one had their own family. Literally, if you have 5 children, they had 5 different families. The older child is treated different to the youngest one. The youngest one is spoiled. Everything is cute. The older one, there's a bit more responsibility. And the middle one is usually neglected. And then we come to treat each one of them with the same consequence and the same words. It's very hard to parent, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives us for our shortcoming. But we do need to read more about parenting and these new names. So you have a child, for example, who is diagnosed with ADHD. Now, before I say something, one thing I tell my young brothers and sisters, my dear, and I'm old enough to be your father for some of you, my dear son, my dear daughter, my dear brother, my dear sister, never, ever, ever, remember this, never, ever self-diagnose. Don't diagnose yourself as if you're your psychologist. Just because you had a bit of anxiety or a bit of depression or a bit of, your chest was a little bit constricted, does not mean you are sick.